Hello and welcome to the Afri-Dominion Show. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so much for tuning into our program today. Those of you joining us live, especially if you're joining us live from any of our platforms, be it a radio station, television station, or social media, welcome, welcome, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to our content, especially if you're on social media, by clicking on the button that reads share, subscribe, and follow. You may wonder why, so that you may be able to follow our conversation, even join our conversation as it happens right now. Same as any other day that we do a live broadcast, that we actually get to pass through these social medias. You can come and join us live as it happens. And here, for those of you who are not familiar, at our Afri-Dominion Show, we speak truthfully, boldly, and with no apologies. Why? Because these are the benchmarks by which we would love each and every one of you to hold us accountable. Make sure that everything we're sharing with you, it's accurate. It's something that adds value to your everyday life. And anything that you see out of order, please call us out in real times. Those of you who want to join us live. We do have our Zoom session, which is our official platforms that we are receiving each and every one of you live as it happens. Feel free to call in. We also can accept your calls via your social media accounts. We have YouTube, we have social media like Facebook. We also have some of these private platforms as well that we are plugged in right now. So welcome, all of you guys, you are welcome to the conversation. Also, if you're using WhatsApp, if you're using Telegram and Signal, we would love to put you on. Come and talk to us in real time. One of the only rules that we use or that we go by, you gotta be on video. You gotta be on video. If you're not on video, feel free to to send in a message and we will read it. But we always prioritize those who are actually plugged in with video feed on them, because this is a television. This is a television show. We want to make sure that we keep on broadcasting the signal, both the audio and video as it happens. So those of you guys who want to get in touch, who want to know how to get in touch with us, or if you want to join in the program, go straight to the website, which is www.afri-dominion.com. www.afri-dominion.com. From there, you will get our phone number, our social media handler, and email. If you want to shoot us an email right away, it's info@afri-dominion.com. info@afri-dominion.com. So welcome to all of you guys who are joining in the program. It's been a minute since we hang out with you guys live on social media. We've been a little bit busy. Nonetheless, right here, right now, it is happening. And it's my pleasure to invite each and every one of you guys who would love to join in the conversation live as it happens to go right ahead and join in. We're only going to have a broadcast for only 1 hour. Only 1 hour, unlike the rest of the days that we normally broadcast for 90 days. Why? Because we also have another program that comes on immediately right after we are done with this broadcast as it happens. So with that in mind, guys, what do we want to talk about? Today I want to talk about a very, very special event taking place in Africa, specifically in Rwanda. It is none other than an event that all of you have come to know as CHOGM. What is CHOGM? We want to talk about that, but also in this conversation, we're wondering, is it really the Commonwealth or Commonslaves heads of government meetings taking place in Rwanda? I may repeat, is it really the Commonwealth or the Commonslave heads of government meetings taking place in Rwanda? That's what I want to talk about right now. And just a quick disclaimer for those of you guys, we really want to talk frankly. So which means feel free to join in the conversation. Our text, please open the platforms right now. So those of you who want to join in, feel free to join in the conversation live as it happens, because we are going to waste no time at all. We are going to jump right in it. And every single one of you who want to join in, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just gonna do what we do best. And because we are on a timely, we're speaking live and we on a timely fashion way. We want to make sure that every single one of you who want to come in and join in the conversation, you can actually join in right now. which means if you want to be in a conversation, come right now so that we can actually cue you right away and we get started with the conversation. So with that in mind, guys, I'm not going to say it twice because I just want to give you guys a huge welcome and thank you so much for the networks carrying the signal right now because we know that it's not easy. It's not easy every time we're having this broadcast, especially that it is so costly. It is so costly to have these conversations as they happen, and a lot of these networks, they get threatened. They get threatened by our conversation, and also just so that we are fair, guys. Most of you are really afraid when we talk about our issues as Africans. But I want to tell you guys, it's really our duty to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, and you respectfully talk about it. Bring in your data, bring in your evidence, and we have a conversation. One of the things that we do, and we believe here at Afri Dominion, is that we must take back the entire full dominion of Africa. Who's we, as sons and daughters, kings and queens of Africa? We got a responsibility to take over, to uphold, to take back our own inheritance and our management of the resources of Africa. No exceptions. And we want to make sure that this is all in the interest of African people first and foremost, and then the rest of the world afterwards. So that's why we are, we seem like we are aggressive to most of you. And a lot of you guys are usually afraid that this is racism, or that we actually have no business talking some of the conversation that we have. Guys, if you don't talk about it, you get no solutions. You get no attention to the issues. Why beat around the bushes about the issues taking place? So one of the things we are now going to do here is beat around the bushes issues that are relevant to our lives every single day. If it's happening in your family, if it's happening in your community, you get a responsibility, young people. You have a responsibility, older people, to actually bring forward those issues and make sure that they are tackled. They're not danced around. So, which brings me to our topic today. As you can see, even the title itself, it's a little scary. Those of you who've seen it have already made comment. Is it really Commonwealth? Or is it really the Commonwealth? Or the Commonslave? Meeting of government meetings, or heads of government meetings taking place in Rwanda. So for those of you who want to know what this is about, so currently right now in Rwanda, there is what they call a Commonwealth heads of government meeting taking place there right now. And its time period is from yesterday on the 20th up until the 27th. So there is this meeting that actually brings together the Commonwealth of Nations. And Rwanda, it's one of the members of the Commonwealth, which we're gonna get into in just a little bit. And so, why are we using? Those of you also have already sent out messages that we're using derogatory words, guys. This is not derogatory at all. And I will explain myself. And those of you who also wish to beg to differ, feel free to come in live and we discuss it. And where do I want to begin this conversation? For those of you who are not familiar with CHOGM, it's called CHOGM. Actually, it's the acronym. CHOGM is Commonwealth Heads of Government Meetings. So that CHOGM is taking place in Rwanda right now, and the reason why we're talking about it right now is not that the fact that it's taking place in Rwanda, but it is what it represents, guys. It's what it represents. But not only that, right now, while things, the African people are having such a hard time, in all kinds of warfares. We're dealing with modern slavery, day in and day out. Modern slavery in the form of economic slavery, in the form of political slavery, in the form of financial slavery. You name it, it's there. And for those of you who are not familiar, I want to invite you to check out CHOGM website, because I'm not going to be giving you all the scoops about what CHOGM is. I'm just going to refer you to where you're going to go, because I want you guys to read it yourself. Read the information yourselves and open up. And open your mind, guys, because this is what it comes down to. And I'm talking straight to you, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, those of you who have given up your own inheritance, your birthrights, either by trickery or by hunger. Bottom line, if you've given up your inheritance, game's over. Personally, I was born in Rwanda. I am Rwandese by birth. I'm in the United States right now. And as you can imagine, Rwanda is one of those countries that also has sold its birthrights. The current regime, the Rwandan Patriotic Front, mid government, has sold out the nation of Rwanda to the highest bidders, to the colonials. And you may be like, son, what are you talking about? I'm not bluffing you. Rwanda has sold the Rwandese people, the populations, the nation. It's no longer a nation of Rwandese people. It may sound like it's a conspiracy theory, but guys, I'll give you just a few references, and I'm doing it publicly, so you can actually fact check me. When we say that Rwanda has sold, that the government of Rwanda has sold the people to the colonials, I'm referring to the inability of Rwandese citizens to self-govern, to choose for themselves the fate of their lives, be it on an individual basis, family, communities, or even as a whole nation. There are series of agreements of which have been signed on behalf of you, the people, in this particular sense, Rwandese people. But this goes to most of these Africans. But these agreements have been signed in the interest of the colonial powers, not the people. Rwanda has signed a various of series of agreements with powerful nations like the United States, like the United Kingdoms, like France, like Russia, like Germany, that disenfranchise Rwandese people. I'll be specific. I'll give you a couple of examples. May 28th, 2020, Rwanda signed an agreement with the United States called the United States, the oh my goodness, I should have written it down, guys. Is the United States Status Force agreement with Rwanda. I think I'm misplacing it. Let me actually pull it up right quick. My apologies, guys. I should have gotten this one ready on time. But I know the date because I've been reading it. It just slipped out of my mind. The U.S. and Rwanda. Status Force agreement. That's it. Guys, go on the internet. Pull it up. It's publicly available. If you go to the State Department of the United States State Department, you should be able to find the force, that particular agreement. There are many agreements. That is just one I want to highlight in this example. But also look what's been happening with the recently signed agreement to bring refugees to Rwanda. The United Kingdom agreement with Rwanda to bring refugees, foreign refugees in Rwanda before Rwanda repatriates its own refugees. For money. When our own brothers and sisters, still refugees, cannot repatriate. So that's just examples that I'm pulling out there right now. Fact check me in real time. I would love that you who are listening, you who is watching right now, and you have never read those agreements, check it up right now in the next 40 minutes. Challenge me if you want to real time. We have Zoom open. Come forward and challenge me in real time. Because what we want to talk about, we want to make sure that not only you're informed, but know what you're doing, but also you roll as a people. We're talking about modern slavery in 2022. It's still happening. But you brothers and sisters, you Africans, most of you are just drinking the Kool-Aid, completely asleep to the fact of your nations are being sold up to the highest bidders. In this case, to colonial powers. Going back to CHOGM. So for those of you guys who are not familiar with CHOGM, go to their website and read about it. But in a nutshell, CHOGM, I call CHOGM meetings a colonial meetings because that's what it's been. It goes back as far as 1887, to those of you guys who are not familiar with it. Again, I'll give you an easy reference. I give you easy references. Go to their websites, their official websites. Look at the information. Everything is up in the open, guys. Nothing is being hidden anymore. So I gave you just a quick scoop on it. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meetings started back in 1971. Before that, it had another name, and before that it had another name, and before that it had another name. These meetings serve at the pleasure of the United Kingdom, which changed its name also. The British Empire, or the Empire of the United Kingdom. And as you all know, the United Kingdom was a kingdom. It still is a kingdom. Colonized Africa, colonized parts of Europe, parts of Asia. But as time came to change, as slavery was being abolished, they had to figure out a way to adapt. By the way, it also colonized the United States. Those of you don't know, but the United States was a colony of the Great Britain before it had its own independence in 1776. I bet some of you do not know that. So, as you can imagine, the big boys had to adapt to the changes. UK doesn't have enough resources to maintain its lifestyle. So it has to go juice in within the motherland, aka Africa. And so is the United States, so is France, so is Russian, Germany, Australia. A lot of these Western nations, they're all in Africa, because Africa is one of the most filthiest, of the richest, of the wealthiest, whatever name you can put in, Africa is that. It's just stinking wealthy. It's rich beyond what you can conceive in your head. However, we are the poorest continent mentally. So everybody who can come in and take scoop, they come in. They've been for the past couple hundred years and up to this day. So, because it's not sexy to call you a colonizer, to call you a slave master, to call you that guy who's actually doing all the whooping, be it physical whooping, mental whooping, emotional whooping, those names are no longer sexy. So, because of the nature of the business, what other ways than to soften up the wording, but not change the activities? The United Kingdom is still fed by Africa today when it comes to natural resources. When it comes to a lot of things, they're still being fed by Africa. And you wonder, why is it that they are being fed by Africa, but Africa is actually begging the United Kingdom for a pot of porridge? So evidently, these meetings started in 1887. Back then, it was called the Colonial and Imperial Conferences. Guys, again, fact check me. I dare you to fact check me. From 1887, those meetings started. And the purpose of those meetings was to serve at the pleasure of the Great Britain, to ensure that the colonization continued, that the kings and queens were properly served, that the interest of the United Kingdom was secured. Funny thing, the interest of the United Kingdom is secured, has been fought for every single day. The same way the interest of the United States outside of the United States territory is fought for, is secured by any means necessary. Which is why I told you to go right ahead and check out the agreement between the United States and Rwanda, what they call the United States Status Force Agreement. You claim you claim to have freedom, you the people. But I dare you, I challenge you to check out the kind of freedom you're enjoying right now based on those agreements. Now, I'm not bashing anybody, guys. And I'm frankly speaking with you all. If the United States says, I am seeking after my interests in any land on planet Earth, they've got the right to do it, as we are told. The United Kingdom can do the same thing. My question is, what's wrong with us Africans? If they can make deals with us in the interest of the citizens in these countries, first and foremost, what's wrong with you African people? Look, an example, a quick one. Right now in Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, they're fighting right now. One of the most vicious wars being fought right now. Rwanda using its proxy army, the M23. Now, these nations, these powerful nations know what time it is. They know what's happening. Not only that, they're supporting the wars. The last time we checked, Rwanda doesn't manufacture a single bullet. Rwanda does not manufacture a single weapon. How do you explain all these weaponry being utilized to destroy people? We're talking about anywhere between 3 to 20 million. They've been counting in the Great Lakes region in the past 30 years. Perished. And the war continues. And now we're talking about CHOGM comes in to check the status of the interests of the United Kingdom in Africa. The funny thing, Rwanda was now one of the one of the countries that has been colonized by the United Kingdom. And it was admitted through a new process, through a new the United Kingdom adopted. Instead of only focusing on those nations of which have been colonized, now they were like, you know what? After all, this is like a gentleman club. As long as we can secure our own interests, who cares who goes in? Think about it, young people. So, as I was telling you, from 1887 up to now, these Commonwealth heads of government meetings have existed. Changed names. Started with the colonial and imperial conferences. Again, look, the time frame of 1887 all the way to 1937. And then they changed the naming to Commonwealth Prime Minister Conferences. Fact check me again, guys. From 1944 all the way to 1969. Then that name was not all inclusive. Remember, they want to make sure that they maintain the control by any means necessary. From the physical visual slavery era, they didn't mind being called colonial powers, imperial powers, but that became unsexy early 1900s. So they changed the name to Commonwealth Prime Ministers Conferences, because back then very few countries had presidents, very few countries had republics. So those who were in charge were primarily prime ministers. So from 1944 to 1969, it was called Commonwealth Prime Minister Meetings or Conferences. Then they were like, no. Let's switch it over a little bit again. We want to be all inclusives. Now we no longer need to target those that we have been colonizing already. Let's expand. What the heck? So from 1971 up to this date, it was changed again to heads of government meetings. Commonwealth heads of government meetings, which is now known as CHOGM. But I bet most of you have not taken the time to actually read through publicly available information on the internet that tells you exactly what this is. Now, here we are in 2022. The meeting taking place in Rwanda. And one of the biggest things that all of you are witnessing is how beautiful the nation is. Have you seen the people welcoming these beautiful, beautiful foreigners coming to Rwanda? You have not. Because the citizens of Rwanda are slaves, guys. They are citizens on papers, but they are slaves physically. Right now as we speak, this week, you cannot go to school. Since when a nation welcomes other nation members and they stop life for an average citizen? People are housed physically and forcibly. They're forced to be at home right now, guys. Especially those in the capital, Rwanda. Right now, those in the capital cannot walk around business as usual. Why? Because there's a certain image that Rwanda is projecting. There's a certain image that CHOGM wants to see. I always equate it to when the master arrives to the plantation, there is a certain protocol that must be adhered to. No exceptions. And as you guys have seen, Prince Charles is in Rwanda for the first time. And his wife, Camilla. Now, knowing what's been happening to Rwanda, from the human right violation to wars, endless wars, to torture, to imprisonment, to disappearance, the kings of the jungle are meeting. Slave master meeting with the managers of the plantations, checking on the status, irrespective of the conditions of the people. But if they are subjects, doesn't matter. Another little juggle of your mind. In the DRC, also known as Zaire, also now known as Congo Belgium, when King Leopold owned it, it was a personal property of the king. Find out how many people died because the king would just give thumbs up and thumbs down. Personal property, guys. But the minute slavery is abolished, it's not sexy to use such language as colonial powers, as imperial powers. So they've got to change name. As long as business is not tampered with, what the heck? What's wrong changing a name? So you young people, wake up. We have right now been living in modern slavery, where your opportunities are squashed physically and visually, and you say nothing about it. Rwanda is one of the perfect examples right now with the Rwandan Patriotic Front, a rebel group helped by the United Kingdom, by the way, to get on power, to seize power in Rwanda since 1990 up to this date. So now they serve at the pleasure of the Great Britain, just like many other nations, like Uganda. Now, What's the point of me pointing all of this out, guys? We are very excited that the streets are clean. It is as if in London you don't clean, like you're so dirty. It is as if in Washington you're so dirty. You give compliments of little things to make it seem like, wow. But it's a lifestyle. Right where you come from. What's the point of you showing a clean street, taking a beautiful suit and give it to a mother who doesn't own a single dress? Make her look pretty, put on a little nice basket, and take a picture and show the world this is how Rwanda is living. Guys, there is a word called facade. Showing yourself in a manner that you're not. We are very good in that today in Rwanda. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys, whether you know it or not, you have to know that you're contributing to what's happening today. This modern slavery that we're talking about, Chogam in specific, a lot of these governments, leaders are meeting in Rwanda. My question to you, citizens of those respective nations, do you have any idea what's being discussed? Aside of the cliche, world peace, economic this and that and that. I mean, they have meetings. Like yesterday, when they were talking about gender equality, Rwanda is one of those nations where females are more in leadership than males on papers. But did you know that females are being raped publicly and openly by the same government that actually tells you that females are more in leadership? You think that I'm lying? Go right now on these social medias. Look how many women are getting raped publicly, and they take videos, they do that. They're not just getting raped by anybody. The government sanctioned raped. These rapes from the government agents. How many people are being disappeared, tortured? We know plenty. We have been documenting plenty of them. If it wasn't for the time. But we will actually get to it. That we can promise you. You all need to wake up, guys. This is why I started a meeting wondering if this is really a Commonwealth. Heads of government meeting or common slaves. I'll just jot your memory for those of you who are not familiar, because I think it might be good that I go there just a little bit. There is, right now in Rwanda, there is political instability. And for those of you who are not familiar with what I'm saying right now, Rwanda has been imprisoning people and killing people and disappearing others. One of the examples that I want to pull out is a lady by the name Idamange. If they can put her picture up on the screen so you can see her. You're talking about Commonwealth, right? Common life to, Commonwealth, common life, common living well. This woman is currently in jail, being tortured, being denied the very basic common rights. But I wonder if Camilla know anything about this woman. I wonder if Prince Charles know exactly what's happening to this woman. Why am I mentioning this? Because I think sometimes when we talk about this, there is a need for you to really understand why we get to have these broadcasts. This woman by the name Idamange Idgamugwiza Yvonne is one of the women that I respect so much. She fought for the well-being of Rwandese people. In particular, another woman, another son, another daughter, to have just a decent life where she doesn't have to look after, where she doesn't have to look shoulders for life, where she doesn't have to fight for just the very basics of the basics. She questioned the leadership in Rwanda and was imprisoned, and she was tortured. She's denied just the basic hygienic rights of every person, like washing. During her menstrual time periods, she's denied female products. I'm wondering, Camilla, what happens to you when you go in women menstruations? While you're visiting Rwanda, she's in jail right now. She's in a hole, just like the rest of them. And I'm wondering, is that the Commonwealth you're bringing to Rwanda? There's another comrade by the name Karasira Aimable. He's another Rwandese amazing individual. He's a true son of Rwanda who speaks up on behalf of the people. Who's not afraid to say, hey, we are being mistreated in the country. We are being economically enslaved, socially enslaved, physically enslaved. And just like you're accustomed to as colonial powers, you know what happens to slaves. Though it only happens in fewer nations right now, back in the days it used to happen. You used to sanction killings of African people. Physical torture, mental torture, until they surrender their rights to your majesties. So today I see you as coming back to the plantation, physically visiting the plantation, bringing in everybody on the same accord. The agendas you have on the table, how many of these agendas specifically have any added value to an average Rwandese people? How many of your agendas? Can we speak frankly? That's why we calling it Commonslaves, heads of government meetings taking place in Rwanda. Young people, take notes of what's happening. How is it that a nation receives people and they put everybody on timeout? Let me speak again. Rwandese people are on curfew right now. They cannot go out, business as usual. Soldiers are literally guarding the people so they don't go on the street, so that they don't strike, so that you don't get to see the actual picture of Rwanda. There's a facade picture that's been painted for you, the one that you want to see, but there's also the real picture. I challenge you to visit Rwanda outside of the predetermined routes, predetermined neighborhood that you're supposed to see and admire, especially those of you visiting the country for the very first time. A while ago, we saw Prince Charles and his wife visiting the genocide memorial site, right where we are told that more than 300,000 brothers and sisters were killed from Kigali. And for those of you foreigners who aren't familiar with it, that genocide memorial site is supposed to house those who were killed in Kigali. The count is more than 200,000 people housed there, bodies housed there. And I want you to take a calculator. Listen to the lie that's been manufactured, that's been sold every single day. A nation's capital that did not have 300,000 people as a population in the capital. How is it that one genocide memorial site managed to record 200,000+ people killed of ethnicity Tutsis when the population in that same city wasn't even that many? Guys, we live a beautiful life as Rwandese people. I am Rwandese, I told you. I am bashing my own nation, not out of hate, but because we're tired of slave masters coming on the plantation, setting up the narrative, what you want to see and how you want to see it. And our fathers, our grandfathers, our mother, our grandmothers, they follow through whatever it is you say just to secure your own interest. This is really what it comes down to. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, it's serving at the pleasure of the United Kingdom, first and foremost, period. Here at Free Dominion, we are saying, let's learn how to serve at the pleasure of our brothers and sisters first and foremost, before you serve at the pleasure of the foreigners, first and foremost. If slavery is being strengthened by you and I, brothers and sisters, but you are blindly doing it, at what point do you wake up and realize that you are the engine of modern slavery? There are so many problems in Africa for decades. Why do you think these problems don't go away? Is it that we don't have the means? The means we have. The will we do not have. So when do we actually come out ourselves and take responsibility of these issues? So I am challenging you guys, especially my brothers and sisters, you Rwandese people. How is it that right now schools are closed because of CHOGM? Can you go to London for CHOGM meetings and they interrupt the livelihood of an average UK citizen? Will you have London shut down because of the meeting? Will you keep the London citizens and residents from going shopping, from going to do whatever it is they do on their regular everyday life? Such is what's happening in Rwanda right now. If you did know, those of you attending CHOGM, schools are out because they don't want you guys to see the lifestyle of an average citizen. A lot of establishments are closed down. And heck, you saw that they also gave you a fresh built street just for you guys. Just think about the United Kingdom creating a street just for the meeting. From your airport to those buildings that are housing meetings, one way, and only you exclusively are going to use it. This is what we do in Rwanda. And you're telling me, guys, this is progressiveness. Imagine in Washington, D.C., from the airport to downtown Washington, D.C., creating exclusively routes just for foreigners who are coming in for meetings. What the heck is that, guys? So, I wish that you guys pay attention, because what's happening is crazy. And it's up to you, the people, to actually do what you do best, to uphold and ensure that it doesn't keep on happening. Because if it continues to happen and you let it happen, you're going to have to respond. No exceptions. It is sad. It's really sad that these things continue to happen every day. And most of you don't really care. So I am asking you, brothers and sisters, those of you who are following CHOGM closely, from London to the list of the nations attending CHOGM right now in Rwanda, especially if you happen to be of an African descendant. Go check it out. From 1887 up to 2022, what has CHOGM done for you and your people? What has CHOGM done for an average citizen in your nation? Why do you keep on selling out your own people? Why do you keep on selling out your own people? There's nothing wrong in having relationship with other nations where there is a mutual respect between each other. But we know Africans, we are so disrespected. So disrespected. Until we learn how to regain our own respect, nobody's going to care. It is us who are going to restore our respect. Not the United Kingdom, not the United States, not France, not Russia. The things you don't want to do, they're not going to come and do it for free for you. We will continue to go into debts, endless debts, until we wisen up. I have prepared some videos that I wanted to share with you guys, but on the last minute I was told that we couldn't use them, and so we will have to get another license to actually share with you guys the videos, because I wanted you to see some of the things that happens right in front of your faces, and most of you just take a blind eyes about it. Right now in Rwanda, that most of you are visiting, life is not what it seems, guys. Go beyond the capital. Take a look how an average citizen is living in Rwanda. Remember, they are citizens on papers, but they are slaves in reality. They don't have common rights. They certainly don't have the Commonwealth that you're sharing with the Rwandan Patriotic Front. So we want to make sure that you're never going to have an opportunity to say you did not know. Because right now you're actually visiting the country. If in your nation you do not send away everybody when you have these meetings, why do you think in Rwanda they actually they gave the entire establishment a whole week long, so you don't get to see the reality in the country? Like I say, schools are not in session right now because of you, CHOGM. In what other nation have you ever seen CHOGM taking place and they halt the lives of the local? The lifestyle completely changed. That's what we do. That's our uniqueness in Rwanda. I wish that you would take the opportunity and visit some of these prisons and look where your pounds, where your dollars, where your euros are going. Look what it's doing. I mean, you've helped the country to come, you've helped the country, you've helped Rwanda come along. But take the credits for all these other things taking place, especially when you talk about human rights, especially when you talk about Commonwealth. I am wondering, and I would wish that one of you can actually answer me, is it a Commonwealth for a woman to be disrespected, to be raped, to be mistreated? Is that part of the Commonwealth culture? Is it a Commonwealth culture to torture people openly, physically and mentally? That is happening in Rwanda, where you guys are laughing and having a great time right now. In any case, I am wishing you all to actually leave the country more enlightened than how you found it when you arrived. Because history is writing about you. We are going to make sure that the people know about you, every single one of you who's attending Chogam today. You will have a unique chapter written in the history book, especially for our brothers and sisters in Rwanda and our African brothers and sisters. There's one thing in dancing to the tune of a colonial powers, and there's another thing when you're actually volunteering to kill your own people, to marginalize your own people, to disfranchise your families, your communities. It's just like back in those days when they were actually physically taking away African and turning them into slaves. A lot of our own people did it because we knew each other and we wanted to. Those that we fought against, we would just sell them into slavery. So we did most of that, and unfortunately, that same mentality from back then still exists today. So that is not on you, the Westerners. That is completely on us, Africans. So you take the opportunity wherever the opportunity presents itself. I love that. You encourage that every single day. And I would love that you Africans also open your eyes up. Look at the opportunity that there is to take back the full dominion of your homeland, of your inheritance. Solve our own problems first and foremost, and not allowing Chogam to come and solve it on your behalf. Chogam will certainly come and solve problems that you have in the lenses of its own interest, looking after its own interest first and foremost, undisputable. So let's wisen up, guys. So that's it for me. I don't want to bore you guys, but I want to invite you guys to take a look of what's happening to us. Take a look of what's happening in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. Millions of people dead, where Rwanda is at the forefront, center of it all. Not just Rwanda as a country, but also the government of Rwanda, also known as the Rwandan Patriotic Front, of which the United Kingdom has helped from its infancy up to this very day. So the UK should take a full credit of everything that's happening. Again, we're not bashing you, but we are also not beating around the bushes on what's happening. You Congolese people, We know you're suffering. You are brothers and sisters. We got to say no together. Take full charge of who we are as a people. And not allow the foreigners who are looking after their own interests first and foremost to come and tell you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and when to stop. Because that's what's happening right now. So it's on us, guys. It is on us to do it right. It is on us to see it through. And nobody's going to beg you. And so with that in mind, guys, I want to say thank you so much for those of you who have been courageous enough to send in some comments. I don't have the time to read in a lot of your commentaries, but I just want to give a shout out to all of you checking in. Remy, I see you. Moitu, I see you. Pegasus, I see you. Evariste, I see you. And those of you following us on the radio station, I commend you for taking the time to come and hang out with us. Those of you following on television, guys, this is real. This is happening. This is not 1887. This is 2022. We are not in the colonial era of 1887. We are in a new colonial era of 2022. And my parting words with you is, what is it that you're going to do as sons and daughters of this great Africa? Kings and queens of Africa. When do you decide to restore our own inheritances? And when do you decide to stop selling out your own people, your own birthrights, to the highest bidder? And I hope that we can come together sooner rather than later and get our house in order. Because failure to do this, it's simply going to invite more colonial powers to continue to rule over you for another couple hundred years, if you would. And I, for one, I'm not okay with it. And I will continue to do what we can to make sure that we take back our own inheritance and we become fully responsible for managing our own resources for the benefit of our own brothers and sisters, first and foremost. And until next time, guys, I'm Freeman Singirankabo with a Free Dominion show. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you.